And how was there even enough room in the box with the crystals to put the lightsaber in the first place? I think a little bit of basic logic would have done them very well, in my opinion.
Hello and welcome to the third series of the Star Wars fan films, joined once again by Will Bunce. Will, mate, another week of lockdown, but the end of the tunnel is in sight, hopefully.
There's some light there. There's some light there, Adam. Let's hope yet. And with Boris's inspirational speech yesterday, we've all got hope that we can all survive.
So we're obviously recording this on a Monday, and this is obviously a week after, so we always pre-record this about a week before it's upload. Yes, so we just had the speech. Everyone seems to be confused, but I'm not confused, in my opinion. I think the main message is just use your bloody common sense. Yeah, and despite all the memes going around about him, that's just my motto. Don't be a fucking idiot, otherwise we'll go back into lockdown.
Exactly. Follow your common sense and you're all going to live, guys. It's fine.
Well, unless you're a gypsy, and from what I've heard recently, if you are in the Ruislip area, there's a couple of problems. If, I don't know, like, you're from Ruislip, aren't you, Will?
I am from Ruislip, yeah. There's been gypsies going around and they've been moving like a fucking army, literally. So, but it's that's the highlight of the week for me. Spotting gypsies.
Yeah, absolutely. Get your binoculars out, then you'll see them very clearly. So yeah, we've had very special days. So we had a bank holiday of VE Day, which was the 75th anniversary last week, which was really nice to do. Nice bringing the community together. Obviously, I've continued with my indoor workouts with my water polo squad because I'm also a water polo coach. And Will has just been carrying on. Well, I don't know what you've been carrying on. Really, just homework, I'm guessing.
Yeah, well, it's just like it's just schoolwork at the moment and staying in the routine, I guess. I mean, I celebrated VE Day, like you said, with my family as well. Obviously, the people in my household as well. It was nice, you know, just doing workouts at home as well. Just keeping in good shape, you know. Don't want to go back to the gym and just kind of fall apart after that. after 3 months of lockdown, so it's all good really, but just keeping a nice steady pace and hopefully we'll come out on top at the end of it.
Yeah, that's the main thing, mate. I mean, like, and hopefully, if people are following the guidelines of the steps as we go, it may be the case of like, because gyms are not going to open by July, even though it says leisure facilities that's the earliest. So I don't think that. I think it'll be August. At the very earliest, I think we'll see any open. But who knows? But if needs be, when the time comes when we can see smaller groups, obviously, because for me as my one person, I choose my girlfriend. So I go on little bike rides with her. We socially distance from one another, yada yada yada. But I might pick you because maybe like with my homemade gym, self-distance, if you want to get your reps in, because I know you love your fitness, you want to get into it, so, and you're obviously my cousin.
Yeah, exactly. Gets you all kinds of bonuses, doesn't it?
Yeah, so, but we'll figure something out.
No, it's yeah, of course.
Yeah.
We'll get to that.
Okay, so let's get straight into it. Of course, so we picked another 2 fan films. I think Will selected these 2. Both, I must say, very interesting, both very different from one another. One has a similar tone to the others that we've watched, and then one is like completely the other spectrum, but we'll see. So, do you want me to pick the first film we review, or do you want to start
No,
with
you
one?
do. Go ahead. It was my call last week.
You see, let's do Odyssey first. I think we should start on Odyssey. Because that was the first one that kind of struck my eye in terms of a short film. So if I give the description now, so it's on IMDb as well. A team of rebel soldiers go on an offensive operation against the Empire facility. must make a decision that could mean life or death, and ensuring drama but means a dramatic end for this short fan film. Basically, this without giving any spoilers just of yet. The it's very similar to Rogue One. It's the first Star Wars fan film that features no lightsabers. So there's no Sith, there's no Jedi, and it's just predominantly Rebel troops and the Empire fighting one another. It was directed by Mark Alex Vogt. I don't know. It doesn't look like a foreign name, but it looks quite American. I'm not sure. You got Mitchell Schmalsky as the main character. Is he the main character, Quinn?
Think so. I'm not entirely sure. Mate, is he the that guy, the narrator?
He might have been actually. I think so, because the
He has the most lines, doesn't he?
yeah, I'm not sure actually. But we also got so he plays as Quinn, who's a rebel soldier. Then you got Michael Christopher Rodney as Cavis, and then Jason Lauder as Barrick, and they're all rebel soldiers, so their names are kind of a bit irrelevant. It was produced by also Shangi Lankhani, Thomas Rogers, and Ben. Oh, I'm not going to pronounce that surname. I'm so sorry. Then you got music by J. Cool, cinematography by Gavin Chin. Oh, that's a great name. Film editing by Alex Thomas, and lots of other people in. So, Will, if I may ask, what was your overall what would you think of this film?
You see, I really enjoyed this film. I think for me, I thought it was nice, like you mentioned, to have actually no lightsabers featured in it. I thought that was a nice change for me. Um, I also felt that just like the fact that the order of the film was kind of a bit different. So, for example, at the end of the film, it was before they went into the operation. So I thought that was nice, and I just think
Mm-hmm.
it was very well done with what they had, and I think it was something different, and they kind of went all out with it. I thought it was really, really good overall. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I think they kept it really simple,
Mm.
and I must say that the story was very good. I love the ending. I love an ending with a twist, especially in a short film. And this is actually the shortest short film. This is only about 11, 12 minutes long. The others are between 15 to 20 minutes long. So this is a shorter one. So I was like, let's see, like, is it going to be quality over quantity? And it actually was. There was more quality in this short amount of time. I did find, yeah, they were heavily inspired from what I mentioned is Rogue One, because like I'm gonna get into spoilers now, so let me put the spoiler alert in. And they're tasked to go and rescue two kind of captives on this base, as well as hacking into an anti-aircraft, no anti-air destroyer kind of, oh, what do you call it, turret. That's it.
Turret, yeah.
Um, so they had to do those two, and obviously it's quite a tense start, I must say. When they are dropped off at the beach, well, we cut straight to the beach. You obviously got like lots of stormtroopers around and everything like that. But I must say, I think the one thing that stands out, if I start with my strengths, is it's got to be the costume. Costume is fantastic. I think even you mentioned it, Will, like when you first watched it. So I don't know if you wanted to add anything. Like what was like anything particular you really liked about it?
Well, I think costumes in particular, yes, that was a very big highlight for me of the fan film as such. I thought that the rebel soldiers costumes were really good. I just think the overall design, it was very relative to that of obviously the real films. And I thought the stormtroopers as well, and I believe they're called shore troopers.
Yep.
I thought the design of that was really good. I saw no flaws, to be honest, and I think I think you'd agree there. You know, I think they were really good, really.
Yeah, and it's just really like you could tell they spent the money in the right places.
Oh,
I
of
think
course, yeah, absolutely.
um, they didn't waste it on that much. I think the VFX were beautiful as well,
Mm,
um, especially like where the laser blasts are coming from. Uh, when they jumped into hyperspace, like especially when they're in the cockpit.
mm,
Um, and even when like the turret looks like it's gonna shoot at the rebel soldiers, but then it gets hacked and then turns to shoot at the star destroyers that are lurking around the planet.
mm.
Um, it's just a really nice watch, and it's one of it's a war movie. I think it's very gritty and very yeah, it's a bit of a thriller. I think, in my opinion. Do you want to add anything? Like, what else stood out for you?
Um, I found like I think I agree 100% with what you were saying with the VFX. Like, I think the hyperspace scene, definitely, like you mentioned, was really good. I thought as well, um, just the whole kind of atmosphere as well, like you were saying, of the suspense you feel when the turret appears to it's going to fire on the rebel soldiers, but it actually shoots the star destroyer. And I think that really allows you to connect with the characters as such and feel their emotions.
Mm.
And it's kind of like that you're on that battlefield with them, and you could feel the whole thing of them thinking, "Oh, have they failed their mission?" That kind of thing. And for me, I just thought that was really good. That ability to allow the audience to really connect with the characters was exceptionally done. And I couldn't fault that at all. I thought that that's kind of one of the main, a key aspect of a film. You want to be really able to relate to the characters, and I think they did that beautifully.
Mm. Did it feel like when watching it, you felt like a soldier yourself, kind of thinking, "Oh shit!" Like, or like maybe the main character may perish in this mission. Like, did you feel kind of that sense of, "Oh my god!" Like, let's make sure this character doesn't die. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I did. I did. I honestly, like I said before, like I felt I was on that battlefield with them, and
Mm.
the whole thing of like you were saying, oh, is the main character going to die? I felt that emotional suspense, and it's like you kind of want to reach out and kind of, pull them to safety, if that makes sense. You kind of want to. It sounds a bit cringy, but you kind of want to like help keep them safe as such, because at the end of the day, like they're people, and it's just it sounds really weird, but it's I think it was that good that even in like a 12-minute film, like we said, to be able to pull that off as well as they did, and to really draw you in, I just think that is something that that you have to master even when you're doing small films like this. And I think, if they did go on to make longer, bigger projects, then if they continue to do that, I think they're going to have an exceptional result out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the one thing that made this really exceptional, not just this length, but I think I I was a little bit confused at the end because I was like, oh, what is this? Is this a twist or is this like a
Mm,
dream or something? So I'm gonna try and explain it. So basically, we start right at the beginning to this narration by this commander who looks very old and fragile, or he looks very worried, and they jump into hyperspace. We then
mm,
cut straight to the main part of the film, which is a young soldier in a rebel battalion. Then they go through all the kind of hacking and everything. So presumably, when I was watching as an audience member, we think, okay, so this young soldier, this is the commander's kind of past, because when the narration is happening, he's explaining how like the choices you gotta make as a soldier, like whether you shoot or where you don't, or what you do is crucial.
mm,
And then we get to the end where we see the commander. So then you're thinking in your head, okay, so this commander's been through it all, they're going to do another mission. No, instead it twists right off by showing the commander going to the back of the ship with the same soldiers, including the young one, which everyone thought it was the commander back in the day. So the twist was pretty much is the battle that we see throughout the film happens after the command. I think it's after the commander gives the speech or the narration. So what we
yes, I think it is. Yeah.
so what we see in the ship happens before the battle. So yeah, the ship and the ending is where before they actually go into the battle, which is the bit we've seen. But I was really confused. I was like, wait, hang on, like, but aren't they dead? And then it's like, oh shit! Like it's that sudden realization that this is all just like the building up to until they fight, and then we've already seen it. It's very confusing to explain. You've just got to watch it for yourself. I think that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. No. Oh, honestly, I agree with what you're saying. No, I think that it's more of a personal thing. So you've got to sit yourself to actually understand what it's trying to explain to you, like you said. But I think if we have explained it badly, guys, I do apologise.
Oh no, it's just me. It's just me. I'm no good at explaining, but I did the best I can. But I highly recommend just see the twist at the end because it will catch you off guard. Because it caught me off guard because I was confused, and I asked you, Will. I even said after the when watching it when we came back to do our notes, it's like, was that all just a dream or was that like before everything happened? And then we came to the conclusion it was before everything happened. So I then grew to love it, and I was like, I love that twist. I couldn't fault it in any way. Is anything like else you want to pick up on that really stood out?
Well, I thought like the narration in itself was well placed. I mean, I don't think it was overdone. And like I said, it added a subtle level of suspense for me. I thought that was really nice. And I think, to be honest, like it's not just the narration, but the whole thing with the characters as well. I think the fact that they're like compared to other fan films, and the fact that it doesn't include any Star Wars characters in the official canon was nice as well. So they've kind of gone all out and they've kind of done their own kind of original idea. I thought that was quite nice, even though they're only rebel soldiers, as we said. But I think that was a nice placement.
Yeah, I mean, I would disagree a little bit about the narration. I did feel it kind of distracted me from what was happening on the field. Because one of my negatives is the lack of kind of dialogue. I understand they are soldiers and they know what they're tasked to do, but there was rarely a line of dialogue from each person, and I think the main thing I was looking for is like I understand the film is all about being a team, like teamwork makes things happen, and then you can get it done. But what I'm looking for, especially in like the young protagonist that we see, is that little more lines of dialogue and a little bit more connection with other soldiers, so then we are more emotionally attached with them. I think that's what I was looking for. It's that individuality that you could say, yes, that soldier, I'm really connected with him. Instead of feeling, sorry for the whole team or whatever. That's the main issue I had.
Okay. No, I see where you're coming from. I agree with that slightly. I think that the idea of it allowing you to connect more with the characters is it would have been a more preferable choice for you in particular. I think that would have been a good inclusion. But I think I do see where you're coming from as well. Like I feel like then you would have emotionally be able to like attach to them individually and feel like sympathy, etc., or empathy towards each one of them. Meaning, obviously, it's just more of a personal experience, I guess you could say.
Yeah. So a bit more just it's development of characters. Maybe for example, like say if one of the soldiers had a sister they had to save, like maybe the main protagonist is saving their sister instead of like two kind of random like rebel or no, two random civilians that are about to get
Sure.
executed. So just a bit more from that.
Bit more of a personal element, you could say.
Yeah, yeah. I just I like it when they go deep because then it touches your heart, and it? It's just like, oh
Mm.
man. Um, I also found I was explaining about how similar it is to Rogue One, and yes, it is original, but I just feel it was too heavily inspired by Rogue One's kind of, like the ending battle sequence when they go to Scarif.
Mm.
I know this is a completely different planet, and I was a little bit worried they were going to copy like Rogue One. I just felt maybe, I don't know. It just felt too much like, we Rogue One's done it. Let's kind of make a different story from this. Not having any lightsabers. I don't know. That's just how I felt about it.
Yeah, no, I think I see where you're coming from with that, and I do think it was too representative of Rogue One, and for me, I've just found that lacked originality.
Hmm.
I I felt the a story diversion away from that would have been nice. Even a change of scenery. I mean, they're on a beach, most towards the end, I guess you could say. And obviously on Scarif in Rogue One, Scarif is made up of beaches. And I think just the whole thing of, their costume design could be included as well as being very similar. But, maybe they were on a tight budget, you never know. But to be honest, with
Mm.
me, it wasn't a huge problem for me because I felt I was enjoyed it more because it was a more familiar atmosphere to me. But
Yeah.
I do agree with where you're coming from. I think a little more unique design would have been appreciated with me, and kind of making it a bit more original.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I mean, I like the location. I thought it was nice as well. I just must, yeah, just something different. For example, maybe the rebels had a speedboat and they came along and they shot from afar, or something different. Like we've never really seen like speedboats in Star Wars per se. So maybe it's
Mm,
maybe something like that. I don't know, just something a bit different, like just to
yeah.
spice it up a bit. But I
Mm,
wouldn't. I'm not going to take any credit in terms of like how it flowed and how it kind of progressed to make us feel attached to these characters, I must say. Is there anything else you want to pick up, either positive, negative, before we move on?
Um, I think there's a small problem with me because I found that with me with this, I thought there wasn't enough background info on the Empire's hostage and his son. I mean, like we talked
Mm.
about when we were planning this, and I know what you're going to say in a minute. I'm not going to
No,
ruin your
no, no,
moment,
I'm listening in. I'm listening in.
um, I would have liked a brief or short flashback. So, for example, before they are going to gun him down, and then spoiler alert, sorry, again here, guys. Obviously the rebels shoot the stormtrooper before he manages to shoot the. But I think in that moment of tension, I would have loved a short flashback, which could have been a nice inclusion, maybe of them spending time together, maybe when the son was younger. And I think that, for me, would have been a more kind of personal element would have been built from that. And I think that just would have really hit home for me. Do you know what I mean? And the emotional suspense would have really been built from that.
Mm, oh, I'm gonna have to disagree. Just, I wouldn't want a flashback in that because then it's a bit irrelevant in a way because um the main objective was to get the turret. That I mean the civilians that came out to be executed were kind of brought by like coincidence because there was a lot of stormtroopers and the rebel soldiers were quite intrigued of what's going to happen. Maybe like say it when they're having that brief, it would obviously be at the end where they have a brief about there may be civilians captured. I don't know. I just don't think we need that much details about them. That's me personally, because if you flashbacked, then it's kind of like, well, we know these people are captured, and we just know what's going to be expected. I liked it when they brought those people out. I was like, oh shit, like there's a lot of things about to go down. It's all a ticking time bomb, you know.
Exactly. There's another mission, and so there's a complication to the mission. You know, that could have been a problem, but I think that's I see where you're coming from that. Like it's again, like I've said in previous podcasts, I think it's down to personal preference of
Yep.
How you interpret these things. I guess you could say. Do you have any more like things to say on the negative
Not
side?
really. It was very difficult to really pick out from. So I think it's a really well made movie. It's not my favorite. It must be said. Because I do like. I do like more individuality in story if I was being really, really picky, but it's definitely in my top 3. It goes with Vader, Shards of the Past, and Kenobi. So it's definitely in that top 3. I won't specify what order because it might piss people off, and then there's judgments or whatever. Blah 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 blah. I think it's a good time to move on to the next film. And Will, do you want to introduce us to this film?
Yeah, I'm happy to. So this is the second fan film of the review. So this is The Last Padawan, a Star Wars fan film. So it was a film by Jesper Tonnes, I think it is.
Yeah,
Director of photography, Christopher Englom Abel. I don't know how to pronounce that.
It sounds very Scandinavian, I think.
Yeah. Music by Jonas Frederick. End credits and things by John Williams again, because obviously he worked on Star Wars. VFX artists, there are quite a few of them there. So it's starring, I can't even say this, Thesis Hansen, Joachim Bach, Rosendal, Shabazz Sawar, Bo Thomas, and Jesper Tonnes, who was the film by. So I think, as you guys can see there for a minute, it was the director was Jesper Tonnes, and he also played the Padawan as well. So that's something we could potentially discuss later on. But that is the intro into the next film. So, Adam, do you want to take the lead?
I was going to let you take the lead. I mean, you could kick off like with your overall opinions if you want to, mate. Like, because obviously you selected this film, so.
Okay. I think we'll start positive, because why not? For my preference, guys, I am saying this was definitely one of the lower down in the list for me.
Really?
Just because we're positive people here, I am going to start with the strengths. So first of all, I am going to say further strength. I thought the VFX were good. I liked how the lightsaber effects were done, and I think the Star Destroyer and the TIE Fighters were a nice inclusion, and there wasn't an over inclusion of the VFX. Basically, I felt it was nicely embedded, and yeah, I guess you can't really say more than that.
Yeah, I mean, I must agree. Yep, the I thought the intro after the titles that came up, with the Star Destroyer and the TIE Fighters and ships coming down, they were brilliant. They really like grasps hold of like, oh shit, this looks pretty accurate to what Star Wars is like. I must say, like the lightsaber with the Inquisitor and the Padawan, both of theirs, they look a bit Halo-like. So there's, but like in a way where you can notice it was kind of a rush job. With you know when you get that outer glow, there's like a line you can see on both of their lightsabers, so you can tell that it was a bit like, it looked very kind of like, you could tell it was very much not very much. There's not much care gone into it. I
Mm,
must say it's a bit unfair to say that, but that's just what it looks like.
mm.
But I must say, yeah, it's it's just not too bad, I would say. And I'll just pick up just saying, I thought the locations as well, very very nice. The forest was my favorite, because in terms of storytelling, because obviously the story is about this last Padawan who escaped the Jedi Temple, and
Mm.
the forest to its open space, because it's quite spaced out. They're almost, all the trees are like social distancing from each other.
2 meters apart.
Yeah. But it just shows how alone he is. Especially in some scenes where he's like meditating, and then, uh, he wins back the lightsaber, but he's all on his own.
Mm,
I really like those shots. I mean, I think the cinematography was brilliant,
mm.
in those shots, especially. And I really liked it. I don't know about you, Will.
Yeah, no, I think the cinematography of those shots, like you said, was really good. I couldn't fault that at all, to be fair. I mean, yeah, when he wins back the lightsaber, yeah, it's good. This not ties nicely into some of my negatives. We won't go on to that just yet.
Whoa,
Yeah.
you go straight into your negatives. I'm so, I mean,
No, no, I'm taking a break for a minute. I'm gonna do it. I did say I'm gonna get into it in a bit, but
but
I think
can I just say,
yeah,
I don't want you to get straight into negatives just yet, because this is the first time, yeah, because this film started with the titles, yeah, so the Star Wars titles and everything. I was like, Will, this is gonna be whack. This is gonna be terrible. You know what? The titles were essential, I must say, because it mapped out like what has that happened. I mean, yes, there's a few grammar issues and a bit, art, like, this is very basic dialogue, but it was actually necessary for us as audience members to understand what was happening, in a Star Wars fashion. So I was just like, oh shit, like, you got me hooked now. I want to watch the film instead of
mm,
turning it off straight away, like with Exile, where they put the titles halfway through their bloody movie. So I don't know, because you were mixed opinions on the titles, in especially the last Padawan as well.
yeah, no, I was. I think, like you said, I felt they were very necessary. I thought it was good to have them, but I do think it is overly harsh. I think, but I think the grammar, like you said, needs improvement, and I feel like it just lacks a professional kind of element. And I think, especially in the film making industry, obviously, I know nothing about it compared to because obviously you're doing your film.
It was quite a professional intro. I didn't think they were taking the mick in terms
No,
of,
no,
like they,
I
they,
did.
they followed the Star Wars tradition in a professional
Mm,
manner. They explained like what was happening in terms of before we get to the actual story. Unlike Exile, I'll keep referring to that film where it was just a fucking mess.
mm. Yeah, I think it was. I got to agree, it was better than Exile, but I do think just the grammar, like I said, it is overly harsh. But I do think it kind of lowers the whole professional element because you can't be making trip ups like that. I just don't think. And although it is a fan film purely for entertainment, I just think it's a crucial thing that needs to be there. One thing before we do dive into the rest of the negatives, though, I do want to say last positive. I thought the costumes were really well designed, but the one thing that stood out for me the most.
The costume, yeah. Okay, all right. Whose costume exactly? Is it
Yeah,
is it the smuggler?
I
Go on, go
thought
on.
costumes in particular. I referring to the Jedi. The rest were pretty
Mm.
shit. We're gonna get into that in a minute. But I'm gonna say the the less amount of lightsaber battles was greatly appreciated for me. I thought it was good compared to Darth Maul Apprentice, which obviously had way too many. We both agreed on, and I just found that it was a nice thing. But yeah, the Jedi costume was very. And should we comment on the negatives of the costumes then?
Go straight for it, because I was giggling straight. You can lead it off again.
So I think we both agree that the smuggler when he
Oh,
when he's working for the Empire, I think they need more than just a sewn-on badge of the Imperial symbol.
It was on a jumper. It was on like a little sweatshirt. It was, and it's the way they revealed it. So like the smuggler gets beaten by the Jedi with a stick, which was a cool moment. It caught me off guard. And then it revealed there's a little sewn-on badge of the Empire symbol, and it's just like, oh my god, you can't do that. You can't do that. You got like anything but like a sewn-on badge. Like even if it was like a tattoo, if it was a tattoo, I would have been like, that would have been better.
No, I think it's quite a pathetic attempt to actually make it look like he works for the Empire, and overall, I think we both agree that it was pretty shit.
Yes, it was pretty shit. It was indeed. You also mentioned about the Inquisitor's costume. Yeah, like I think it was a good attempt. It looked like it was homemade. It wasn't like store-bought. Yeah, but like in a good way. It wasn't like terrible to beyond belief, but it wasn't like outstanding. I don't know. It felt all right in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I have to disagree on that entirely, fully. I thought the Inquisitor's costume, for me, it looked more like an Imperial officer's costume and not an Imperial enforcer. So I kind of just felt like it was more, let's try and represent an Imperial officer with a lightsaber. And I think that kind of, for me, it just failed miserably. Yeah, I haven't really got more to say on it than that, really. I think those words just sum it up quite well.
But didn't in the Mandalorian? Oh no! I'm not going to spoil it for you because you haven't seen it.
I haven't, no.
No, I'm not. I'm not going to spoil it for you. But you need to watch episode 8 because then you might change your opinion. Because those kind of people who do wear those types of uniform, they can wield a lightsaber, and I agree. Maybe the Inquisitor costume from Exile might have been a bit better. Not in terms of like makeup and that, but like the costume. Maybe it'd been appropriate for that guy. And I'd like to dive into one of my negatives. I mean, I mean, the one thing that baffles me was the appearance of the Jedi lightsaber. It was very weirdly convenient when he needed it. And it's like, basically when the smugglers caught the Jedi before the lightsaber fight, they were going through his bag and they find kyber crystals because that's what the Jedi Knight was collecting. But the thing is why did the smugglers not kind of show that he had a lightsaber? Like, I think the lightsaber is worth more than the fucking kyber crystals, in my opinion.
No, I think so. I agree with that.
So, but, like, yeah, go on.
Oh, cheers. No, I think I agree with what you're saying. I just think it was the fact that a ready-made lightsaber was suddenly there in the box when it opened, and it was very convenient that it was there. But I think just the fact, like, his basic logic, if you compare the size of the box, which had the kyber crystals in, and obviously the guy opened it and the smuggler opened it and there was no lightsaber in there. There was crystals, a bag of crystals. How the fuck did he not see it? Where the fuck did this lightsaber come from? And how was there even enough room in the box with the crystals to put the lightsaber in the first place? I think a little bit of basic logic would have done them very well, in my opinion. But like, I just think that was more just kind of a bit stupid for me. I don't know what you think of that.
Yeah, and I did put in my notes about the ending bit as well, when he wins the battle and you think they're both dead, but then the Jedi gets up, because he always gets up in it, like in the morning, and then he packs like fucking everything. Like, it reminds me of the scene. Have you ever seen the Toy Story 2 end credits when Mrs. Potato Head packs like lots of things into the back pouch of Mr. Potato Head?
Oh yeah.
I'll show it on YouTube. But it reminds me of that. He was packing so much. He had like a handkerchief, kyber crystals, his lightsaber, a map.
He can't leave his handkerchief behind, can he?
No, you can't. I think he was carrying a belt as well. I did see there was some random bits and bobs. I was like, this is
Yeah.
way too much. Like, why would you want to carry that? Like,
I mean, this guy. Put it like this as well. This guy's supposed to be on the run. He's a Jedi being hunted, and I don't think he's got all that time to gather all that stuff. Do you know what I mean?
yeah, man. Yeah, I
I
don't know.
think as I think as well, like, when he took the Inquisitor's lightsaber at the end
Yeah,
as well, like, I was like, really, is that necessary? Like,
he had a knife as well. He had a knife. I forgot
did
about
he?
that. Yeah, because at the
Oh yeah,
end,
yeah. What?
because
Where's he getting all this shit from?
yeah, I was going to say, and at the end, which is just really weird, just to show he is a Padawan, he cut off that little like braided thread to show
Mm,
that he was
he was no
part of
longer the
yeah,
Jedi.
exactly. He wanted to be a Jedi, but he left it on the dead body. I was like, if there's a windy day, that would just get blown away. What's the point of doing that? Um, so I thought that was just weird.
Yeah, just to be honest, like, it just wasn't that good for me. One more negative I do want to touch on, actually. The Inquisitor's persona, I just thought it was a really poor attempt to recreate a Star Wars villain. And I just thought, like, the lines he said weren't very villain-like.
Okay, yeah, I could give you that. Like, what lines? Can you remember what lines he said?
I honestly, I can't remember the lines he said, but I just think his persona as a whole was just shit, literally. Um, like, he's trying to like be this big man villain right there, and then it's just like, what, really? Because it was a poor costume
Mm,
design on my behalf, what I said anyway. And I just think that if you're trying to make a villain, all right, fine, you can't excel in the costume department, but maybe try and put on a bit of a menacing kind of not appearance physically, but kind of, the way he presents himself, I guess you could say. And I think just
mm.
the way he did it, I think he tried to put like a posh kind of nature on, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I must say, like, it's like a posh bad guy,
Yeah, I
but
feel
like,
like he's more of, I am the Inquisitor, I'm here to kill you, like, things like that.
yeah, it did actually feel like that. I must agree with that.
And
Unlike like the bad guy from like Kenobi, he was posh, but like he did it in a way because he's an officer.
mm,
So, and if this
I
guy is
get
holding a lightsaber,
mm,
go on then.
exactly.
What were you gonna say?
No, I wasn't going to say anything.
Oh, okay. Um, um, another negative I like to touch on is the planet we were on. If it was meant to be Dantooine,
Mm,
um, quite obviously well known planet in the Star Wars franchise, but like it, unfortunately, like it's nothing to do with the cinematography. I think it was a mix between the location and the color from the team, like in editing,
okay, yeah.
because it felt too much like Earth, like we were just on Earth, um,
Mm,
and it wasn't very much like, I don't know. I didn't feel like I was on an alien planet. That
mm,
was my feel for it. That was one issue I was having when watching it.
mm,
But
yeah.
oh, actually, going back to it, the screen wipes were used really well, I
Yeah, no,
must
that's a
say.
good.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, no, I do. Yeah. No, it was
Um,
good. I thought that was a nice. I thought it was good though. No, good use of it.
yeah, like when he's like looking at his lightsaber, and then when he sets off, the screen wipe goes from left to right, and then he's walking left to right during the
Mm,
screen wipe, and I thought that was just really nice, really
mm,
nice, um, to watch as well. But
yeah.
one thing that was a bit weird is, when the TIE fighters are then chasing him down, he's legged it. Then we cut straight to a scene of like a sunset, and then all of a sudden it's dark. I'm not sure if
Mm.
you noticed that as well. I thought that was a
Um.
bit weird.
Yeah. No, I agree. I don't think that was kind of that great.
It wasn't memorable. I think that was it.
So memorable. Yeah.
All right. Anything else to touch on before we give our final ratings?
No, I haven't. I haven't got anything else to say. I mean, out of the two, I'll give my rating now if you want. I think
Mm-hmm.
out of the two, Odyssey was clearly the better one. I would give Odyssey. I'd give it an 8.5. I think you'd go lower,
Mm-hmm.
but I would give it an 8.5 because I really liked Odyssey, and it's going to go up to second for me. I think Shards of
Mm.
the Past is still right at the top for me, but I would put this one second, and I put Kenobi third.
Mm.
And I just think that's kind of more suitable for that position. But in terms of the last Padawan, I don't think it was the worst. I think Exile was the worst, but I think it wasn't better than Darth Maul. So I would put this probably fifth on my list, and I would give
Mm.
this a 5.5 for me out of 10.
Okay, that's not too bad. I thought you were gonna be like well harsh on it.
Nah, I
See,
think I've criticised it enough.
yeah, you really went in on that Inquisitor. I'll tell you that.
It's
You,
he's not a likable guy, you know. You've got to.
yeah. Did you think, but like in terms of characters, did you think the Inquisitor in the last Padawan was your least favorite bad guy out of all of
Uh,
them?
I agree. Yeah, no, I think he was really a poor attempt to even try and get something like that, and I just think it was pretty rubbish, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, like if the Inquisitor was like a different actor or he played it off in a better way, do you think your rating would be a bit higher?
I think it would. Yeah, I mean, if the costume was the same, but the persona from the acting was there and up to my
Mm-hmm.
liking, then definitely, I think that would be it would be definitely a higher rating because of that. I think obviously acting is for me. I prefer good acting over costume design.
All right. Fair enough. Fair enough. So for me, if I started with Odyssey first,
Mm,
unfortunately that's going to be third. So I'm going to give it a solid 8. Just because there's a few areas that may have been tweaked a bit better.
mm,
And I felt like yeah, it just didn't have like I would say it's highly recommended to watch like because it's something different, but it wasn't. Um, I don't know. It didn't have that edge like Kenobi or Darth Vader where you get attached with the characters. I think that's what I'm looking for. Because
mm,
don't get me wrong, this is it's a great story,
mm.
100%. So any great story would get an 8 and above, but it's
Yeah.
just that kind of more of a connection with an individual or person.
Mm.
So I'd put Odyssey at third,
Yep.
then Shards of the Past that I gave an 8.5, second, and
Mm,
that is obviously justified to move if episode 2 is really good, and
mm.
then Kenobi at a 9 or a 9.5. And then we come to the last Padawan. Yeah, I think it at least they attempted to make a story.
Mm.
It wasn't like I was just a little bit worried that it was going to be another kind of Exile
Yeah.
or either another Darth Maul. I 100% it's better than Exile.
Mm.
Um, whether see, yeah, I have to agree. Actually, it's got to be fifth. See, I'm gonna give it a 6. Just because although they were on a budget, although the Inquisitor could have been better, I
Mm.
thought there was still a lot of good aspects that balanced it out.
Yeah.
I must say, yeah, it didn't like even though the Darth Maul one was solidly about VFX and the fighting element,
Mm.
they did it in a way that was really good.
Mm.
This one, yeah, again, it didn't quite have that edge that the Darth Maul had, but it wasn't like completely terrible like Exile.
Mm.
So 6, I think 6 is very reasonable for me.
Okay. Fair enough.
Cool. I think that'll conclude. We're just going to continue on in our little mini series. I'm really enjoying this. So we'll kick off another 2 films. next week. That would either be a Thursday or Saturday. Just deciding which one we're going to upload this on. So be sure to check out all the podcasts on Spotify and iTunes, and of course on SoundCloud and YouTube. You can follow the AM_filmmaking podcast. Once again, Will, thanks for jumping on. Once again, he does have a YouTube channel called Humanities Reimagined, and he has his Instagram that he posts regularly on. So obviously, of course, give it a follow, give it a view, give it a share. And once again, I'll see you all in the next podcast. See you then.